continuing my reviews of all the live-action Star Wars content in the run-up to Mandalorian and Grogu that comes out on May 22nd. This is my review for Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Let's go. This is the third movie in the prequel trilogy, the final movie of that trilogy. It's a follow-up to 2002's Attack of the Clones. The film stars Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Hayden Christensen, Ian McDiarmid, Samuel L. Jackson, Christopher Lee, Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, Kenny Baker as R2-D2, and Frank Oz as Yoda. Revenge of the Sith is set 3 years after the onset of the Clone Wars, as established in Attack of the Clones, and depicts the rise of Darth Sidious and the Galactic Empire, as well as Anakin Skywalker turning to the dark side of the Force and rising as Darth Vader. It has wide-ranging consequences in the galaxy that lead to the extermination of the Jedi via Order 66. This is by far the best movie in this trilogy. The opening is something like out of Clone Wars. It's like a live-action adaptation of that. There's a lot of CGI, but the battle itself is fun. Not the best dialogue, and there is some hammy dialogue throughout the movie, but an improvement on Attack of the Clones tenfold. We have an initial fight to save Chancellor Palpatine, and they still don't know that he is the Sith Lord. They do find out later on in the movie, but they take out Count Dooku. That fight is over quite quickly. Anakin kills him, and we're straight over back to Coruscant with our Jedi Council. By the way, you can spot the Millennium Falcon going into, docking in Coruscant. So keep your eye out on that one. Nice little Easter egg. But instantly this movie starts to feel a little bit more towards the original trilogy. It's like the colour palette is starting to progress. The visuals are starting to progress. But it's definitely, the first half is still very Clone Wars-esque. Padme's pregnant with, they don't know it's twins yet, but eventually being Luke and Leia. C-3PO is completed. Therefore, you kind of just get a lot more of a Star Wars vibe in this one from the get-go. Like I said, the wooden performances and the dialogue, the hammy dialogue is still very present here. But for me, Hayden does a much better job in this one. He's grown into the role, but also that conflict and that dark side starting to seep in. Actually, he does better with that. Like I said about the Clone Wars, where he slaughters the Tusken Raiders, you get a lot of that in this movie in terms of his darker side. You know, he's frustrated at the council, he's annoyed with Obi-Wan, there's something happening within him and he doesn't quite understand it, he's not the Jedi he should be. There's a bit of political commentary in this movie. Now remember that this is after 9/11 and post-Iraq War, and there's an entire section of dialogue from Obi-Wan about the Chancellor being able to stay in power for much longer than he should have. And obviously this is like towards the end of the Bush era, so there is a little bit of reflection there. And that's why these movies kind of stay relevant with Star Wars. They do well with their politics. Like, they don't shove it in your face, but people often misinterpret the movies and don't realize how political they are. The original trilogy is very political. Even the original movie with Grand Moff Tarkin and talking about the old Republic remnants being swept away and the regional governors taking direct control over their territories. So people moan about the prequels being really heavily political, but Star Wars has always been political. You can definitely see the influence that Revenge of the Sith has had on The Last Jedi visually. Very similar. Color palette, very similar. You look at like the Canto Bight sequences and then you look at Revenge of the Sith. Very similar vibes there. Even with like BB-8 when he's shooting the coins out at people, it's just got this prequel-esque feeling to it. You know, you've got that opera scene in this movie where we get this whole dialogue backstory about Plagueis. It's quite a famous one for Star Wars fans. They love this. And actually, when you look at that and you look at the rich people gathering on Canto Bight in Last Jedi, definitely some similarities there. And in fact, McDiarmid as Palpatine gets to shine in this movie more so than any other Star Wars movie. It's very centered around the fact that Darth Vader's rising, and Palpatine's a big part of that. He's the one that's been pulling the strings this whole time, and he gets to reveal his grand plan. For me, the Plagueis scene is perfect exposition. We don't have to go and actually be there in that presence of Plagueis. It doesn't go back and show you a backstory moment. You're there in the now, being told this story, and you don't know if it's true or not. Fuck you, Acolyte. Fuck you. I also love the Kashyyyk setting as well. It's another planet we get with the Wookiees and their homeworld, and they're fighting off the droid army when Order 66 happens, and then Chewbacca and another Wookiee has to defend Yoda and help him go and escape. I think I wanted to see more of this world, though. I would have liked to have seen the personal impact on the Wookiees' lives and their families. Let those sequences breathe a little bit more and see the town maybe get invaded by the Trade Federation, have them grab their families and have a war carried out that way. Like, show us the reason why the Wookiees are fighting for their homeland. But it's cool. We get this like mini D-Day sequence where the Wookiees are defending the beach, and you have all the machines coming on via like landing machines, landing vehicles. Hello there. That scene is great too. Like, it's so meme worthy. But sequence where Obi-Wan Kenobi's fighting General Grievous, and I really like General Grievous. Again, I would have liked him to be a little bit more like. It would have been great if we dived into the construction of his character. And I know there's a lot in Clone Wars, as there is. He's a Clone Wars character and comes from there to here. So there's a big part of the audience for this film that already knows General Grievous. But for the live action people, I think it would have been good to see like his construction and like the influence and the inspiration behind Darth Vader's technology. Because you do get that kind of comparison, like the way that Grievous is very much like a prototype Darth Vader. And also, you get to see how many lightsabers one person can hold. Like, it's crazy. That's what the prequels kept doing, like constantly giving us more lightsabers, and I can't complain. There's only a few moments in this movie that are kind of allowed to breathe. The pacing is very quick, and this part of the movie definitely is the turning point for when Anakin turns to the dark side, and that is a moment where Anakin and Padme are not together. So you've got Anakin in the council chambers, and Mace Windu's gone off to arrest Palpatine, and Padme is in her quarters, but they can sense each other through the Force, and they're looking at each other from across the city, feeling, each other's emotion. And they're both crying, and it's just this haunting music. I just remember it because I can remember it was like the calm before the storm. You knew what was about to happen, and it was emotional, and there's so much goosebumps involved. Like, it gave me so many goosebumps. Love this segment of the film where it's like just on the edge of the storm. Mace versus Palpatine is really cool as well. We see how he gets deformed, but it's so dark at this point, and it just starts to really feel like Star Wars at this point. Order 66 is epic. It's a great segment, and I wish, again, like, Order 66 could be an entire movie right there. There's a scene where Vader is marching hooded into the Jedi Temple, followed by a load of clone troopers, and it's just like an iconic epic shot. Great music in this section of the movie as well. By the way, I love, like, at this point, like, the Jedi are becoming extinct, and we go on board the Corvette that we see in New Hope, and all of a sudden everyone's got 70s haircuts because they have to, like, start matching it, and it's just quite funny. But you have the final battle. You have Palpatine and Yoda, which was a little bit underwhelming. I think there's some weird ass choices in there where, like, Palpatine flies backwards into the chair and then falls over. It's like you could imagine the Benny Hill music over that, and it's always just been a weird one for me. But it's all about Obi-Wan versus Anakin. It's epic, and while it's a little bit over choreographed and a little bit kind of like a dance routine, it's fast paced, it's fun, it's epic, and it pays off. It's a great ending to the prequel trilogy, and we know what's happening next. Although that green screen at sometimes just hasn't aged that well. Like, some of the stuff in the original trilogy looks better than the stuff in this movie. It's just CGI just doesn't age well. We obviously eventually get our rise of Vader, and I just wish he didn't scream no at the end. It completely just puts a dampening on the entire movie because it's one of the last things we see, and it's so cheesy. They added it to Return of the Jedi for the Blu-ray release. I can't wait for the original cuts, and I really want them to go back and do, like, clean up the prequel movies. Like, clean up the CGI. If you have to give us some extra scenes, do it, fine. Whatever you want to do. Like, just don't alter it too much. I'd be quite happy with that. Like, get rid of the no. But I do love this movie. It's the best one of the prequels, and it's definitely better than some of the sequels. But half of the movie is like Clone Wars, and then the other half is like the Rise of Vader. I just wish, again, I've said this before, that I wish we had the Rise of Vader in the previous movie, so we had this entire movie be about Vader taking out the Jedi. Like, have a whole movie on Order 66. If we ended the second movie with Order 66 and a cliffhanger, then leading into this, and have the whole movie about that, it would have been so good. Like, I just feel like it was kind of thinned out. But this movie is definitely cinema worthy for me. Not quite peak, but it's almost there. If we had better performances and dialogue and a better first half of the movie that didn't feel like the Clone Wars cartoon, and we had more time with the Rise of Vader, I think this film would have been incredible. But what do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comment section below your thoughts, and we will discuss in the comments. And I love Star Wars, so let's discuss. I'm always happy to talk about Star Wars. My next review for Star Wars is going to be Solo, a Star Wars story, because we're doing this chronologically. So it'll be Solo, a Star Wars story, Obi-Wan, Andor, Rogue One, and from there. Let me know, guys, what's your favorite Star Wars project or cartoon, animated series, whatever you want, whatever it is. Let me know down in the comment section below. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'll see you real soon with the next one. Take care of yourselves.